My wife went to my best friend, but came back when she found out how rich I was. My name's Daniel, I'm 33, and up until a few months ago, I thought I had life figured out. Picture this: a solid career, a gorgeous wife, and a best friend who was practically my shadow since high school. The dream, right? Yeah, well, buckle up, because that dream turned into a nightmare faster than you can say, "What the hell?" Emily was the kind of woman you see in rom-coms and think, "Wow, that guy hit the jackpot." She was beautiful, smart, and, okay, maybe just a little obsessed with shiny things. But who isn't? I figured it was harmless. She worked hard, loved vacations, and always managed to turn heads wherever we went. My best friend Ryan was a constant presence in our lives. We'd been tight since we were awkward teens, comparing bad haircuts and dreaming about Ferraris we'd never afford. So, when Emily started spending more time with him, coffee here, late-night advice sessions there, I thought, whatever. Harmless, right? Spoiler alert. Wrong. One random Tuesday, I left work early. The office AC had crapped out, and everyone decided sweating through meetings wasn't worth it. I walked into my house, already dreaming about a cold beer and binge-watching something mind-numbing. Instead, I got hit with a scene straight out of a bad soap opera. The dining room was dimly lit by candles, the kind you'd buy to impress someone who likes overpriced lavender scents. Emily sat across from Ryan, her hand in his like they were rehearsing vows. My wife, my best friend. It was like walking into the wrong movie. Emily looked up, calm as could be. "I'm leaving you, Dan," she said, like she was ordering a salad. "Ryan and we're in love." You ever have one of those moments where your brain short-circuits? Like it's too much to process, so you just stand there like an idiot, blinking? That was me. Meanwhile, Ryan had the nerve to look guilty, like, "Oh, sorry, dude, but you're out." This is the guy who crashed on my couch for months after his last breakup, ate my food, borrowed my clothes, and now he's stealing my wife. The audacity was Olympic level. The next day, Emily packed up her things. Not just her clothes and jewelry, but random stuff too, like the espresso machine I bought because she wanted to try making lattes. Oh, and her dog, Buster? Yeah, she left him. That little fluffball glared at me like I was the reason his world was crumbling. Newsflash, buddy. Your favorite human ran off with Ryan, not me. And just like that, my life went from happily ever after to, what fresh hell is this? The weeks after Emily left? Absolute chaos. Imagine your life turning into one of those cringe-worthy reality TV shows where everyone's too drunk, too dramatic, and way too desperate for attention. That was my world, except I wasn't the one throwing wine glasses. I was the guy getting splashed. Emily and Ryan didn't even try to be subtle about their grand romance. Every time I opened my phone, there they were. Clinking champagne glasses at rooftop bars, lounging on beaches like they were filming a perfume ad, or showing off fancy dinners that probably cost more than my rent. Social media became a minefield of their PDA. And of course, Emily made sure to tag me in a few photos for good measure. Classy move, right? Because what's betrayal without a little extra salt? But then, oh boy, the rumors started rolling in. Apparently, Emily wasn't exactly the queen of true love she pretended to be. Nope. Turns out, she'd been playing gold digger bingo. She thought Ryan was rich, like private jet and summer house in the Hamptons rich. Can't blame her, though. The dude had the whole package: designer suits, flashy watches, and a car collection that screamed, "I'm compensating for something." Except here's the twist. Ryan's wealth? Fake. Those cars, rentals, those watches, probably bought at a discount from a guy in an alley. The man was swimming in debt, juggling credit cards like he was auditioning for America's Got Fraud. Meanwhile, I, boring, understated Daniel, was sitting on a steadily growing fortune, thanks to my tech startup. A startup, by the way, that I'd built from scratch while Emily thought I was just doing okay. I kept quiet about my success because, I wanted her to love me for me. Spoiler alert, she didn't. Then came the cherry on top of this disaster Sunday. One night, around midnight, there was a knock on my door. I opened it to find Ryan, 3 sheets to the wind, leaning against the frame like a frat boy who'd lost his way. His eyes were bloodshot, and he reeked of tequila and regret. "She's a nightmare, man," he slurred, stumbling into my hallway. "She maxed out my cards, demanded a bigger apartment, and now she's dropping hints about marriage. Marriage, dude! Can you believe it?" I stood there, trying not to laugh. This man, this genius, had stolen my wife, only to realize she came with a side of high-maintenance chaos. It was poetic justice. He went on, ranting about how Emily expected a lifestyle he couldn't afford, how she treated him like a walking ATM, and how she had the nerve to criticize his taste in wine. Apparently boxed Merlot wasn't cutting it anymore. Finally, he looked at me, his face a mix of desperation and drunken sincerity. "Dude, you gotta take her back. I can't—" He hiccuped. "I can't handle her anymore." I stared at him for a solid 5 seconds, then burst out laughing. Not a polite chuckle, a full-blown, tears-in-my-eyes cackle. "Take her back?" I said, barely able to breathe. "Ryan, you wanted her. She's all yours. Enjoy the ride." Then I slammed the door in his face, and let me tell you, the satisfaction of hearing him stumble down my front steps was almost worth all the heartbreak. Almost. As I stood there listening to the silence, I realized something. They deserved each other. Emily, with her endless demands, and Ryan, with his pretend fortune. Let them rot together, I thought. It was the first time in weeks I felt anything close to peace. Emily's return was as dramatic as her departure. 3 months after she left, she showed up at my office unannounced, wearing her most dazzling smile. "Dan," she said, tears brimming in her eyes, "I made a mistake. I miss you." I almost choked on my coffee. She went on about how Ryan wasn't the man she thought he was, how she realized what we had was special, and how sorry she was for breaking my heart. She didn't know I knew the truth about her motives. Playing dumb, I let her spill her sob story. She even brought cookies, store-bought, of course, and tried to cozy up to Buster, who hilariously growled at her the entire time. Then she dropped the bomb. "I heard about your company," she said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "You're doing so well. I'm so proud of you." Ah, there it was, the truth beneath the crocodile tears. I decided to play the long game. I told Emily I forgave her, but needed time to trust her again. She moved back in, claiming she'd changed, but I saw through her. She'd sneak glances at my bank statements, suggest extravagant vacations, and push for a lavish wedding vow renewal. I let her think she was winning. Meanwhile, I hired a lawyer to protect my assets. I even started dropping hints about a big financial decision that could bankrupt me. Emily panicked. The final nail in the coffin? A fake letter from my investor claiming my business had gone under. She packed her bags faster than I could say gold digger. The last thing she said before slamming the door was, "I can't live like this, Dan. I deserve better." I laughed as she stormed out, knowing she'd just made the biggest mistake of her life. A month later, Emily found out my fortune hadn't vanished. She came crawling back, but this time, I slammed the door in her face. Buster and I celebrated with steak that night,